Grace Jones has long stood as a symbol of fearless individuality, a boundary-breaking icon who redefined music, fashion, and gender norms. Yet, as bold and commanding as she appears in the public eye, her love life remains shrouded in mystery and speculation, an intriguing contrast to her flamboyant persona. Among the most iconic of her confirmed relationships was her intense and artistic union with French photographer Jean-Paul Goude. Their partnership went far beyond romance. It was a creative explosion that gave birth to some of the most avant-garde and revolutionary imagery in pop culture. Goude not only helped shape Jones's visually striking identity, but also fathered her only child, Paolo. Their connection, though tumultuous at times, was a complex blend of passion, art, and transformation. Then came her famously sizzling romance with Dolph Lundgren in the early 1980s. At the time, he was a virtually unknown Swedish bodybuilder, and it was Jones who discovered and championed him, introducing him to the glitz and glam of Hollywood. Their appearances together, often provocative, always magnetic, became the stuff of celebrity lore. While their relationship didn't last, it certainly helped catapult Lundgren into the spotlight. But Grace's list of rumored lovers doesn't stop there. In the wild nightlife of the late 70s and early 80s, whispers swirled of a brief but fiery romance with Canadian actor Chris Makepeace. Though never confirmed, the idea of the daring, statuesque Jones paired with the soft-featured young actor stirred imaginations. The blurred lines between truth and hearsay only enhanced her legend. And then there were the rumors of a secret connection with Mick Jagger, the legendary Rolling Stones frontman. Their worlds often collided at Studio 54 and various fashion weeks, two larger-than-life personalities in a sea of flashing lights and fame. Whether or not their relationship was romantic, their chemistry was undeniable and impossible to ignore. Grace Jones thrived in an era of bold experimentation, both creatively and personally. It's no wonder that her name was also linked to action star and former bodybuilder Arnold Schwarzenegger. Although never substantiated, gossip columns hinted at a fleeting romance in the early 1980s. Around the same time, Schwarzenegger was transitioning from muscle-bound icon to movie star. Their shared backgrounds in fitness, film, and sheer physical dominance gave the rumor a certain weight, even if it remained unconfirmed. Another notable name often associated with Grace is funk legend Sly Stone. Known for his wildly eclectic music and lifestyle, Stone and Jones reportedly shared a brief yet electric relationship in the late 1970s. Both were known for their eccentricities, fearless creativity, and disregard for societal norms, making them an oddly perfect pair. The speculation surrounding their affair has only added to the mystique of Jones's past. And while fans sometimes conflate her history with names from earlier eras, such as Leslie Hutchinson, it's important to clarify that he belonged to a completely different time and social circle, with no confirmed ties to Grace. Still, these mix-ups reflect the mythic status Jones holds, her persona so enigmatic and influential that people tend to attach legends to her name. What makes Grace Jones's love life so fascinating isn't just the potential list of lovers, it's the way she carried herself in every relationship. Whether real or rumored, her lovers were often strong, powerful men, yet it was Grace who seemed to hold the reins. In interviews, she often spoke about turning gender roles on their head, and many of her public relationships reflected that philosophy. For Grace, love was never about submission. It was about electricity, transformation, and power. To this day, she remains a figure of fierce independence, unbothered by society's expectations, and endlessly fascinating in her mystery. Her legacy is one of unapologetic self-expression, and her secret affairs and rumored flings are yet another layer in the mythos of the woman who defied every label the world tried to give her. Grace Jones didn't just date men, she enthralled them, dominated them, and often reinvented them. Her relationships were never one-dimensional. They were layered with art, power, and the intoxicating thrill of rebellion. Whether through her magnetic presence or the sheer unpredictability she brought to every encounter, Grace turned each romance into a performance, blurring the lines between intimacy and spectacle. One of the lesser-known rumors in her constellation of lovers includes a whispered flirtation with David Bowie. Though never substantiated, the idea of two of the most gender-defying icons sharing a moment of closeness feels almost poetic. They moved in the same dazzling circles, both exploring androgyny and the outer edges of performance, and it's not hard to imagine an electric spark between them at some private after-party or studio session. Grace's relationships often mirrored her stage persona. dominant, defiant, and sometimes even dangerous. She once said that she liked to scare men a little, and by all accounts, she succeeded. Her love affairs weren't built on traditional romance, but on pushing boundaries, sexually, emotionally, and socially. There are stories, mostly unverified and whispered through the industry, about her intense relationships with unnamed royalty, billionaires, and art world elites. Some claim she had flings with designers and musicians whose names were deliberately kept under wraps to avoid scandal. Jones, ever the master of her own narrative, never confirmed nor denied these tales. Instead, she let the mystery flourish, understanding that the unknown only deepens fascination. Her lovers, regardless of fame or fortune, always seemed to orbit her, not the other way around. In many ways, Grace was the sun around which others revolved, drawn by the sheer force of her personality and presence. Her sexual fluidity and openness also meant that her attractions weren't limited by gender. While she never put a label on her preferences, she openly challenged traditional norms, embracing a wide spectrum of connection that reflected her broader philosophy of life. Bold, fluid, and without apology. These affairs, both real and rumored, form the mosaic of Grace Jones's erotic mythology. They are not just tales of romance, but stories of resistance, liberation, and fierce independence. Beneath the fierce exterior and commanding stage presence, Grace Jones experienced the same chaos, pain, and vulnerability that comes with intense love. Her romance with Jean-Paul Goude, while celebrated artistically, was also filled with emotional highs and lows. Goude himself admitted that their collaboration was as volatile as it was groundbreaking. There were moments of control, manipulation, and creative obsession, elements that often blurred the lines between love and domination. For Grace, love was never peaceful. It was war, art, and magic all at once. Her connection with Dolph Lundgren, while physically and publicly powerful, also reflected the imbalance of being both a muse and a mentor. Grace launched him into the limelight, but like many of her relationships, she eventually moved on. Never one to be held down or made small by a partner, she wanted lovers, not owners, and that distinction shaped every connection she made. There were others, too, fleeting encounters in the haze of disco nights, backstage rendezvous, wild nights in Paris, New York, or Berlin. These unnamed, unsung lovers were part of the legend, feeding the stories whispered in fashion shows, club bathrooms, and high-end hotel rooms. Each story added another layer to the mystery. Was it true she once left a lover handcuffed for hours in a 5-star suite? Did she really throw champagne on a producer for looking at another woman? Some of these tales may be exaggerated, others forgotten in the smoke of her whirlwind lifestyle, but all contribute to her mythos. What's clear is that Grace Jones refused to be tied down, not just in life or love, but in identity itself.